I want to discuss the issue of refugees crossing the Mediterranean and the situation of the refugees returned to Libya and placed in detention centres there. We have talked and dealt with this before here in the Assembly, but let me remind you of recent events. In December, 49 men, women and children were rescued in the Mediterranean Sea. They were taken aboard both NGO vessels. The ship was denied permission to dock in any European port in the Mediterranean. After almost 3 weeks, the ship was finally allowed to dock in Malta. Under international law, people rescued at sea must be taken to a nearby place of safety, namely a country where they will be treated humanely and offered a genuine opportunity to seek asylum. Until recently, that meant anyone rescued in the central Mediterranean en route from Libya was taken to Europe, as returning them to Libya would condemn them to the risk of arbitrary detention and torture. But keen to block migration, the European government, and therefore Assembly member states, have invented a workaround to circumvent their legal obligations. They gave the Libyan Coast Guard support to intercept people at sea and return them to Libya. On top of this, NGOs are sometimes also prevented from carrying out the rescue missions. The Libyan Coast Guard then intercept boats in the Mediterranean, taking those rescued to shore in Libya. We see evidence that migrants returned to Libya by European ships are sold into slavery, fall into the hands of criminal networks of smugglers, are mistreated by the guards of Libyan detention and lack necessary medical attention. UNHCR admit that a number of people taken to the Libyan detention centres are unaccounted for and urges that no one rescued in the Mediterranean should be returned to Libya. Coastal states have often had to deal with this asylum seeker by boat on their own, as there is no system to share such responsibility among European states, and there is a dire need to reform the European asylum rules, the so-called Dublin system. Despite the fact that sea crossing have fallen dramatically in the past couple of years, there are still those that insist that Europe is facing a migrant crisis and that migrants pose a threat to Europe. We need to dispel this myth. We need to offer safe and legal opportunities to come and seek asylum, look for employment or reunite with relatives. Setting up a swift and reliable disembarkation mechanism in line with international law and a fair system to share responsibility for asylum seekers among EU countries is something that we need to reform. And if human values and solidarity are not upheld and respected, it is not Europe, neither in line with the core values of this Assembly.
Thank you. And now, Mrs. Agayeva from Azerbaijan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues.